And we are live.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's the one, the only Senor Silverback himself, the Optimus Primate, V the Gorilla Economist, coming to you live with my main man, the master of the flux capacitor, the producer par excellence, the maven of the minutia. That it would be CJ, and we're joined by the illustrious one, aka Bankster Slayer, the researcher extraordinaire herself, has joined us today, and we're going to be covering a litany of topics. You can find us on roguemoney.net. Check us out on Rogue Money Facebook and follow us at the Rogue Money on Twitter and every single podcasting app known to mankind. We're there as well as Apple News. And guys, hit the subscribe button, smash that like, give us a thumbs up, and smash that little notification bell so you are alerted. Help us fight the good fight and support us in that direction. With that being said, CJ, Bankster, what's going on?
Well, good morning, and it is still morning where I live. I'm just now getting through my second cup of coffee.
You and me both. I think I did like three coffees, and I'm still going. Been all night with George Nuri on Coast to Coast AM. If you haven't got a chance to listen to it, you can go to roguemoney.net. The interview is up there. You can go check it out. It's pretty awesome. And with that being said, I'm still tired, so I need to catch up on sleep.
I tried to sleep in, and we had this horrendous thunderstorm and rain come in, and it just like pounding against the house like at 5 in this morning. So
Oh,
I
that's
had
the
no choice
best, man.
to look to make sure that I didn't need to like vacate and get in the basement or something. But anyway, yeah, I feel much better now. I'm ready to start the day.
Good. Excellent, man. Well, there's a lot of things we can cover. Before I even get into the meat of all this stuff, Bankster, like, what's on your radar? What's going on with you?
Well, you notice I've written a couple articles about this crazy stuff happening at the Vatican
Oh
lately.
yeah. Well, let's talk about that. I mean, that is hot and heavy right now.
Oh man, I've never seen one pope diss another pope like this.
No way. What happened?
Well, okay, let's go back a couple of weeks, and there was all of a sudden the, there was some pedophilia allegations and exposures being made, but it's really Leo Zagami who's really quite an expert. He has a wonderful Italian accent. He speaks English, but it's
Right.
heavily laced with Italian.
Sure.
So he's been a frequent guest with Alex Jones, but he has his own website and publishes his own books, and he is really a Vatican insider. He really knows what's going on over there. And we saw, okay, if you go back to the end of June, and this is back when Cardinal Pell of Australia was
Yeah.
suddenly finally recalled to Australia to go face charges there. But what we're seeing unfolding at the Vatican is opposing pedophile factions. This is not going to be good. These are pedophile versus pedophile. It's just so crazy. I'm thinking you couldn't even write a TV soap opera this
Like,
good.
what are they doing? Are they warring as to what gender they prefer? I mean, what are they fighting about, these
Uh,
sickos?
well, maybe, and it is really a control for power. Now, I will mention underneath all of this, something Joseph Farrell has contended for quite a number of years is that someone is trying to gain control of the Vatican Bank and Vatican finances. And it does look like this is what we're seeing. Again, as I mentioned in my article that I posted last night, always look at the news through the eyes of the Hegelian dialectic. There's always two opposing poles being set at each other's throats so that a third party who's working behind the scenes can come in and mop up and take over.
Right.
And that does seem to be what's going. I'm going to, while we're talking, I'm going to bring up one of my the previous blog I wrote, because there was a small story that really started this whole thing, and it had to do with the sudden dismissal of an auditor, not a Vatican cardinal.
Right. I heard about this. Okay.
Right, and it was a small story. No one really was paying attention to it.
Right.
So that kind of tells us that there is a financial side to this whole thing. And let's go ahead. I'm going to bring up my other article while we're talking here. But trying to remember what that guy's name was. Anyway, but yeah, Cardinal Pell is in Australia to face his demons, I guess, literally. But yeah, there was an auditor who was dismissed, and then all of a sudden, all this other stuff started happening. Okay, now I've got my page. Yeah, this was the blog I wrote entitled "Regime Change in Dens of Iniquity."
Yes.
And this was, yeah, it all started June 23rd. Vatican Chief Auditor Libero Milone abruptly departed. And so that's when everything got started. And then 4 days later is when, oh yes, the big story was the gay orgy right within one of the VIP apartments of the Vatican.
And here's the thing, there's no way that could have surfaced without an insider, blowing the whistle and letting that information out. For the love of God, having this many people in one location, that just simply doesn't happen by coincidence, right?
No, right. And this is something, I mean, obviously this stuff has going on in the Vatican for hundreds of years.
Of course. They like to be there, and they like to play with each other's prosciuttos, and the sausage is flying all over the place.
I mean, and this guy, this cardinal, he's actually been transporting cocaine across the city.
Oh my God! It doesn't get. You can't make this up.
He's using a Vatican state car with Vatican license plates to transporting drugs. Right. So obviously he's doing it all the time, right? It's like going out for takeout,
Yeah. I will be going to get some blow today.
Right.
I'm going to get the cocaine. I'll be right back.
Right, but you're right. The big story is why now all of a sudden is the state being allowed to arrest?
And mind you, the people involved in that whole entire escapade over there that was busted in that apartment, those were the individuals that were quote unquote investigating. They belong to the department of the Vatican that is supposed to be investigating quote unquote sex crimes.
Right. I mean. Well, haven't we seen that same pattern all over the place? I mean, how many times have we heard that it's people who are running child protection services who are themselves the child traffickers, or people who are highly placed in the state's attorney general offices are the one who squash any pedophile investigations, because this is an international network and they have a lot of control over who gets placed where.
Right.
So anyway, so that guy gets arrested. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, yeah, I do have a question for you just in regards to Pope Francis, because we've witnessed the past year that he really followed the globalist marching orders. So was there something that they were holding hostage against him and the Catholic Church against the Vatican to say, hey, listen, if you don't start touting, one world religion, touting that we need to, climate change, and if you're against climate change, you're a sinner. Were they holding back information and holding him hostage? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I am just assured that nobody gets to these positions of power in the Vatican unless there's already a blackmail file on you a mile long.
Yes.
You're not right.
I mean, look at the current Pope. This guy is as dirty as they come. He's a Jesuit. He was in Argentina. He was in Argentina while a whole bunch of
other
scams exactly were occurring, and he was heavily running money laundering operations with the Vatican Bank over there. This is a corrupt organization. Can we stop calling them a church? It's nauseating already. I want to vomit. I mean, my God. I mean, why do people go to the Vatican? Oh, I stood at the Vatican. Oh, the Pope, I kissed his ring. Meanwhile, the Pope wants to, God knows where that finger has been, you idiots.
I know, exactly, or the ring, for that matter.
The ring's been up some choir boy's rear end for all you know. You're over there kissing it. And you're thinking that the smell is Parmesan. It's not Parmesan.
Here come the YouTube censors.
I know. And that's actually what this latest article I wrote last night was sort of a mirror of Leo Zagami's own article, that what he's saying is that the ex-Pope Benedict XVI, who, let's remember, he didn't die, he resigned, which is very unusual in Vatican history. There's been like only 5 other popes that have been allowed to do this. You don't usually leave 2 popes alive at the same time, and now we see why. Because they're going to be at each other's throats sooner or later.
Right.
But so what Zagami was saying is that there seems to be the Benedict XVI is the more conservative pope, but he, you know, he wants to return to traditional values. But Pope Francis is the more liberal pope, who's, you know, and it's funny, even when he became pope, you know, we have the old joke, is the Pope Catholic? You know, that's what people say. And actually, when he became pope, people started asking that for real. He doesn't seem to be Catholic.
No, not at all. I mean, this guy's a bleeding heart SJW.
Yeah.
He's probably a closet pedophile like most of these idiots over there. He's a criminal. He's a criminal. And you know what? Thank God for the age of information. It doesn't take much research to figure out this guy, Giorgio, whatever his friggin' name is actually... he's a crook. He's a crook. He's the worst kind of crook. I mean, this guy is. I don't know what to say, Bankster. This guy is the equivalent of one of these prosperity preaching televangelists that you see on TV, where you know they're scamming you of your money. The kind of guys who gets up there and says, you know, plant a seed. I need some seed money. Send me your rent check, and you get a 40% blessing upon you. These guys are the same way, except there's a body count attached to these guys. That's the problem here.
Yeah,
God Almighty.
Yeah, the body count is getting deeper and deeper because ever since after this gay orgy incident, and so let's call it
the prosciutto party. Ever since the prosciutto party.
So this seems to be an act that was aimed at the Pope Francis faction. So then you know he's going to retaliate. So what does he do? He calls in his Cardinal Mueller, and there's no specific allegation against him, but Cardinal Mueller was prefect of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, which is a fancy modern name for what used to be called the Holy Office of the Inquisition.
Nice. So he's a conservative. He was the right-wing faction of the Vatican. Yeah,
exactly. And it's one of the most powerful departments in the Vatican. And he's been very critical of Pope Francis. And he has these regular meetings with Pope Francis. So the Pope called him in, and he wasn't expecting anything big to happen. He thought it was just their usual weekly meeting. And the Pope sat him down and asked him 5 questions about his attitude or his stand on certain issues, and every single one of them was against Pope Francis's stand. And at the end of the interview, Pope Francis basically told him, "Well, that's all I need to hear. You're out."
Yeah.
So he
I'm
fired
sure he
this
probably
guy.
Opened up with climate change, then led directly into what is his take on NAMBLA, and that was it.
Yeah, right. Zagami actually mentioned the 5 questions. I forget what it all was, but it was about conservative value. Had something to do with admitting gay or women in the church, or I forget the whole thing. But then so he leaves, and he's in shock because he just lost his job. So he goes, and one of his friends in the Vatican is another cardinal, this Cardinal, I want to say Meisner, right? He's a German cardinal he's vacationing in Bavaria or somewhere out of Italy. Yeah. So they're talking and commiserating on the loss of his job. Well, lo and behold, the next day, this cardinal suddenly dies peacefully in his sleep.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's completely normal. I mean, happens all the time.
And one of the last cardinals to witness this or see this dead cardinal in person is someone who has connections to the Obama administration. It just gets better and better and better. Okay, now that was like scene 1 of this act. So last Saturday, they have the funeral service for this German cardinal. It's held in Cologne, Germany. And Benedict XVI he's elderly. He can't get there personally. And, we haven't really heard much from Benedict XVI ever since he got retired and got his own little fancy apartment. But once in a while, he comes out with some zingers, and he came out with one this time. He sent a personal letter with his assistant to Cologne to represent himself at the funeral of this Cardinal Miser. And in it, he, in a very diplomatic way, he completely dissed Pope Francis. He said he is remarking about what a good guy Cardinal Meisner was, and I'm reading his words. Benedict says, "We know that for him, a passionate pastor, it was difficult to leave the office precisely at a time when the church needs pastors who can resist the dictatorship."
Oh, zing, zing.
Wow.
Bam.
Wow.
Zing, zing.
Wow. And then he even goes on to compare the church to a ship that is floating in the ocean and appears to be ready to capsize and turn over. Nice. So he chooses this public, I mean, there's a 3-hour YouTube clip of the whole funeral. It's open to the whole world to see what's going on. Okay, so then 3 days later, okay, so that was the volley fired from the Pope Benedict faction over at the Pope Francis faction for, probably, accusing him in an underhand way of putting this guy away. He was 86 years old, but he was in very good health. So
yeah, exactly.
Whatever you want.
A lot of extra virgin olive oil, it does that for you. A lot of pasta. I'm sure they got some good rigatoni over there.
Don't trust a cup of espresso unless you made it yourself.
Exactly. I think he went out for some espresso and some shuiadal with Pope Francis, and that was it. It was a wrap. That night he was gone. A little too much mortadell there, huh? Get him in.
All right, so that was on Saturday. Then 3 days later, which is just middle of this week, we get another volley fired from the Pope Francis faction back out the Benedict the 16th faction, which is the story that hit the news. And I believe one of the first outlets was the New York Times, which is always going to be the Vatican's mouthpiece in the United States. And it's actually not a new story. I had read about this story a long time ago, but it's this claim that decades ago there was a school in Germany where hundreds of choir boys had been abused, repeatedly, and the school had been under the directorship of Benedict XVI's own brother, George Ratzinger. So George Ratzinger has always been suspected of complying or knowing something about the pedophilia incidents, or maybe even being involved with it himself. So that hit the news, this week. So it's this back and forth of volleys of this one faction against the other faction.
Jeez.
I know.
Bankster, is there any coincidence? I mean, we're witnessing, everywhere these massive pedophile arrests. All this seemed to occur shortly after Trump's visit, to the Vatican with Melania and Ivanka. And I've never seen the traditional dress, but I guess it was explained, and I learned. But it looked like they were going to a funeral.
Right. Yeah. When you in Italy, I know they always wear black lace. Well, that's a very typical traditional dress. And actually that story kind of revealed to us that Melania is Catholic. And so for her, since she is Catholic, it was appropriate for her to dress that way. She never talks about her religious faith very much.
She's a classy lady.
Yeah, she is. Now, and I wrote that article at the time about their visit. Contrast her dress there at the Vatican with just a couple days before at the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, where she dressed in those bright red shoes. I just love the red shoes.
I remember that, yeah.
And everyone else is all dressed in traditional dark colors, black shoes, but not Melania. She dresses in bright, stark white and red shoes. That alone was a statement.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, women know how to make a statement with their clothes.
They really do.
Yes.
I mean, considering we had 8 years of the Predator in office.
Right.
The
Predator in Chief.
The Predator in Chief. The First Lady, I like to call her the Predator. She looks like the Predator from the movie Predator. That's Michelle Obama.
Oh, I know.
And
Terrifying.
Bankster is it Zarconi, the investigator from Italy? Was that his name, Zarconi?
No,
Did
no, Zagami, man,
Zagami.
Zagami.
Yeah.
CJ and names. That's something that'll never change.
sorry.
CJ, love you.
Did he also predict that Pope Francis would be
Yeah.
resigning
Yeah.
that when he makes his trip to Argentina?
Yes, he
Ooh,
has. He
that
has
would
a
be
whole
nice.
he has a whole book out on it, and you know that. But now you're getting into the whole Pope
Siege,
prophecy thing.
we got to get this Zagami guy on, Siege.
Yeah, you should. He's great.
Oh
His
yeah,
his
yeah. I went to his
accent.
website and everything. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he did an interview with
definitely.
Dr. Fetzer. So you know, he does the interview circuit, I suppose. So yeah,
Yeah.
you can probably get him on. Um, yeah, yeah, he needs to be on. He doesn't even have a Twitter account or stuff, so it's only his website that kind of promotes him. But yeah, not just the visit to the Vatican, but you know, the meeting between Trump and Putin is going to go down this year as one of the pivotal events of the year.
Yeah.
And in my article that I wrote last night, I wanted to remind people of a speech Putin gave 4 years ago at the Valdai conference in September of 2013. And I wanted to bring this up because also, in addition to all this other stuff going on with the pedophilia announcements, you know, a couple of alternative news outlets started parroting a statement that I cannot find anywhere in real news, but there's a statement going around that Putin told Trump that Trump better start naming names or else Putin was going to. Well, I don't find any basis for that statement, but what is interesting is what Putin spoke 4 years ago. And this is quite a speech he made, and you can read it online. I have part of it in the article that I wrote. And he gave it around, it was in September, although I think I also had seen a clip where he gave a similar speech around Christmas time, so it was very pro-Christian kind of
Yep,
a
I remember
thing.
it. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, and he said there were, Putin, let's go back and remember many years ago when Putin got the law changed so that American parents could not adopt Russian children, and there is, even back then, he's been very big on revitalizing Russian heritage and Russian pride and building strong families. And he said in his speech that there are we see many of the Euro-Atlantic countries are actually rejecting their roots, including the Christian values that constitute the basis of Western civilization. Now, remember, this is 4 years ago, and this is before this huge Muslim immigration, swarm that's been happening. And he goes on to say, they are denying moral principles and all traditional identities, national, cultural, religious, even sexual. They are implementing policies that equate large families with same-sex partnerships, belief in God with the belief in Satan. Okay, this is a national world leader making these statements, who's, basically accusing his Western partners of allowing Satanism to come in and affect their culture. And he went on to say, the excesses of political correctness have reached the point where people are seriously talking about registering political parties whose aim is to promote pedophilia. Wow, that was 4 years ago. And so you look back now and see, how things have developed, and getting Trump, elected, and him going after the, child traffickers, which is another story that hasn't really been promoted. And I have to thank the readers of Rogue Money. The article I wrote a couple of days ago about the 3 bills that were passed through the House and now have to get through the Senate. It's been one of the most highest shared articles I've ever written on Rogue Money. I think it's over 200 shares of that article, because very quietly Trump got these 3 child trafficking bills passed through the House, which are, they're very extensive in showing how he wants to allocate funds and resources to really crack down on child trafficking, or not just child trafficking, human trafficking altogether, which includes more than just pedophilia. But when I saw that, that told me that his war against the pedophiles has just gone live.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, something else, it's like when you look at it this way, you know, there's a couple of things that have really highlighted something that in my mind made some serious connections, and I need people to really pay attention to this and understand that these are clear indicators of a broader war. You know, I often said that, you know, the deep state is like a tumor. If you try to excise them too quickly, it will kill the patient. It's like a large tumor. It's like that documentary, The Woman with the 50-Pound Tumor, you know? If you were to rip the tumor off, she's dead. She's going to bleed out and die. So you got to starve the tumor first. You got over 5,000 pedophile arrests. A lot of elite pedophile traffickers have been caught. That's a fact. Okay, the media is really quiet about it because they know that there are those who work within media that are next. You know, as well as the rumors that continue to persist that a third of Congress is involved as well. The second thing is this: so that pedophile arrest is happening. That's number one. Number two, okay, we have the funding for the CIA, quote unquote, moderate rebels. That's been cut. Okay, that's a done deal. Okay. And number three, there's been a record, okay, and I don't know if anybody caught this, but there's been a record of cocaine seizures that are happening all throughout the country. It's actually through the roof, as a recent report by Zero Hedge. They posted it. And why is that significant? You know, we've always joked around and called the CIA the cocaine import agency. Okay, now there's about 121,000 pounds. I'm sorry, 121 million pounds. I'm sorry, 121,000. Dude, it's 121 million pounds of cocaine. Okay, 121 million pounds of cocaine has been caught. I mean, can you imagine? You know what the street value of that is?
Right. Yeah.
Jeez. 121 million pounds of cocaine have been confiscated. Why is that important? Well, apart from heroin, cocaine is one of the CIA's biggest ways that they pad their black budget.
Right.
Okay? That's huge. It's tremendous. So you're seeing the steps that are taking place. So now it's time for people to really zero in on the target and not get distracted by all this misinformation and all the other jargon that's going on.
Right.
Huge. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, his war has gone hot. It's totally. They're freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing, T, as also V, with regards to the all the drug seizures and everything, was that, and it'd be very interesting to see how this is occurring. But also, there was news regarding the $1 million of marijuana found in these brand new Ford Fusions that were coming across the border. That doesn't happen by accident.
No. Exactly.
So all these Mexican-made, Ford Fusions coming back with massive amounts of marijuana that were in the tires and everything else. It's just so it's interesting to see all this coming together.
Right. And that's another point Leo Zagami made. He said Satanism and pedophilia have always gone hand in hand, and also drug use. So those three things, you're right, that you would have to attack the cocaine use along with the pedophilia race. They both have to go hand in hand.
Yep.
Right. Anyway. So that's what that is.
Yeah. What else is on your radar, Bankster?
Well, like I was telling you before we went live on this show, next Friday morning I'll be on with Robin Falkov on Freedom Radio, the one that you used to be on. And one thing we're going to talk about are the 8 articles I wrote about Antarctica, because that's another story that's going on. W and I have had conversations about this, and the more I look at it, the more it looks to me that there is something very big being built or something going on there. And all the other news in the world is diverting people's attention away from that. And plus we have all this weird stuff.
Okay, hold on. I just have to interject you real quick.
Yes.
I was just doing some cocaine drug math.
Yes.
Okay.
You said math, not meth.
Nice.
check this out, guys. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So 121 million pounds
Mm-hmm.
of cocaine has been confiscated.
Mm-hmm.
In the state of New York, the average pound of cocaine is about $36,000, 36 to 40,000. Okay, so let's take the low end of 36,000. That's $4.3 trillion.
Wow.
$4.3 trillion worth of cocaine seized. Wow.
And then if you think of that being used only to, if you securitize that or rehypothecate, you know, in the usual credit way, you're talking about a value that's 10 times more or 100 times more. This is way beyond the national debt.
Jeez. Oh my God.
Yeah, you're taking that, they're starving the power.
They really are.
Yeah.
They really are. They're cutting out their budgets. You got to understand, when they're quote unquote training the moderate rebels, they're also selling them weapons. There's a lot of money being exchanged here, and this is tremendous. This is absolutely tremendous. Then they're being bled out. They're sex trafficking. You know how much money's in sex trafficking?
Oh, yeah,
hundreds of billions of dollars.
Right.
Okay, that's being cut. Now the pedophile traffickers are running scared. You got guys that are not only in law enforcement, but former special ops guys that are hunting and killing these bastards and or bringing them to justice. Then you have this, the drug bust. The deep state is being bled out bad. Tremendous.
Which is good and also bad in the sense that now they've become the most dangerous.
They're desperate now.
They're a caged animal now.
Yeah. They're a caged animal.
Right. But the writing's on the wall, so that's good.
It truly is. It truly is. It truly is. Which brings us to our next thing. Spicy Spice has gotten replaced, guys. What do you guys think about that?
Oh, yeah. And I just saw that story, so you guys fill me in. What happened to Sean Spicer?
Did you hear about Spicy Spice?
Yeah, I heard about Spicy Spice, and I think he's been on the outs now for a while. You know, he for the most part, like when he first started, he really approached it from a I thought he did well at the start, but where he kind of lost the narrative was when he stopped presenting things. He got very at times defensive through his arguments when he was talking specifically about the administration, and numerous times that the media were able just to kind of just take what he said and just obliterate it. And now what you witness is someone else coming in, and I'm thinking that you know, there's rumors that Kimberly is it Guilfoyle? What's her name from the Five? On Fox News, that that Trump has met with her several times to replace Spicy Spice.
I think I thought he was picking Scaramucci.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Scaramucci is a longtime friend of Trump. So I don't know.
Well, they went back and forth. There was some conversation that they're just going to go ahead and cancel the daily briefing, that they're not going to have it. You know, there's just been so much chaos, you know, with it. So this change is signaling, I think, some of the other events are going to occur. I think we're also going to see some major shifts within the inner circle as Trump heads to the second half of the first year.
Yeah, it says yeah, it did. It's confirmed. Anthony Scaramucci accepted the position. Boom. Good.
Right.
Good. That's a good move. That's a good move. Now next, he's replacing these guys and replacing him with his insiders. Next is going to be Priebus. Leaker Priebus is going to be next.
And then what's going on with Banner? There was a story about Banner is like lying low.
Steve Bannon, yeah, he's been pretty quiet on the Bannon front. I have no idea what's going on with Bannon. Siege, what about you, man? Anything you know what's going on with Bannon?
Well, it's either going to be Bannon or Kushner, and you know where you know Trump is going to lay. You know, at the end of the day, he's going to side with with Kushner because of Ivanka. Bannon and Kushner have pretty much banged head through a lot of the conversations, a lot of things that occurred with Syria. Bannon is very strong minded. What he did with Breitbart and his ability to go in and get things to take place. I really hate to see him leaving the inner circle. But as far as what the media is reporting, that he's Bannon on the brink is what one of the articles that he's on the outskirts. I think it may be a personal decision of his, to decide not Trump, outing him.
Right, exactly. Well, a lot of shakes are going on, man. A lot of moves and a lot of things that are occurring. Hey, guys, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but I just want to report out there. I've been saying for quite some time, the goal of the Trump administration is not to pull the rug from under the economy without having a physical economy in place. And you know what? Some important key economic data has come out. Mining is up 21.6%. Okay, since Trump. Construction is up 5.6% since Trump. Manufacturing is up 4.7% since Trump. And guess what industry is dying or is lost? Finance and insurance. Both are down 2.1%. And those guys are the Hydra, finance insurance, the Hydra of the banksters. Okay, so this is good news. This is really good news. This is, again, proof that a physical economy is being built. And yeah, we have a lot more to do, but we're on the right track.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely on the right track, and that's why this next legislative session coming up in regards to the tax reforms that need to take place, are so important. I mean, it's going to take a lot of finessing to get tax cut to actually apply to the middle class, because a lot of times, yes, corporate tax rate needs to be cut. Yes, we need to have a one-time, reduced tax to bring in all these offshore accounts that these companies are holding. But how do we strategically impact the middle class? How do we put more money in their pockets? It's going to be reduce the size of the federal government.
Right.
And for the most part, we don't have a legislative group right now that are brave enough that would do that. You have people like Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, that they want to advocate for a bigger government and an expansion of government programs.
Yeah.
This next session, it's really very important, because Trump is an individual. Everything that we're pointing out, all the successes, and there are numerous ones we can point to, absolutely. However, unless he's going to suspend Congress and Senate and become a dictator, and I'm not saying that's happening, then he's going to have to get some people in there to legislate for him, and the right
he's
people.
going to. He will survive, and he will have these idiots continue to fall on their swords. You're going to have, case in point, he's got to survive until the 2018 midterm elections. In the 2018 midterm elections, all these guys are done. Look at that idiot Maxine Waters, like this brain dead, dumb as a box of rocks woman who is a retard. Okay, an absolute reject, out there, contemplating running for president. Like, how deluded are you? Mad Max out there doing her thing. Mad Max. So funny, man. It's crazy. But I think that respite is going to come, CJ. I think it's going to be that 2018 midterm elections, man.
And it's coming. And if you take a look at the Democratic Party right now, they're bleeding. They are in the red. They have no financial fundraising, really strong base, because they don't have any strong candidates that are out there. All they have is the Joe Biden's going to get involved again, and all these legislators, and I think the Democratic Party is in the worst shape that it's ever been in history, because people are so sick of this fake narrative regarding Russia. And this has been the in terms of the biggest legislation group, the Democrats and Republicans, there's nothing to speak for of anything legislatively they've gotten accomplished this year. There's nothing. And it's not because of Trump. It's because their inability to understand what the American people want.
Yep.
Forward to 2018, and Nancy Pelosi has not seen anything yet. I think that probably on part, maybe, a 25% gain in the House, and in the Senate, it could even be, there's people coming out, and I love the disruptive things that are occurring within the political process. Here we have Kid Rock that's coming out. I don't really care about Kid Rock at all, but I'm glad that there's these people, these Americans that care enough about our country to say, you know what, enough is enough. So I'm supporting these disruptive candidates that are coming in and shaking up the status quo from these career politicians, V.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Me too. I'm with you on that, man. I think people need to understand anybody who's disruptive, who's a freedom lover, and Kid Rock is a freedom lover. He's at least pro-American. I don't have to agree with what's the stance on this, what's the stance on that. I don't need to agree with all the stuff that he says. But if he loves freedom, if he loves liberty and freedom, hey, man, I'm game. I'm game. That's part of the Trump effect, man. I mean, these guys have seen nothing yet. I'm telling you. One of the things I said, CJ, back in September, October, I said the stupidest thing that these Democrats can do is double down and go full libtard. It's the dumbest thing because you never go full libtard. Never go full libtard. Right. What do? They went full libtard. And these idiots don't realize Trump saying, like weeks and weeks ago, I hope that Mueller doesn't go ahead and look at my finances. And the idiot Mueller, how is this guy even in charge of the FBI is beyond me. He's grossly incompetent. He falls for the trap. Mm-hmm. He's going to go ahead and investigate Trump's finances. And what is he going to find? Nothing. That Trump is actually really smart.
I heard you say that. I thought that was, this is what Trump does. He does it over and over, and they fall for it every time.
Every single time. He's baiting them. He wants these guys to look at that. And you know what? And when Mueller finds nothing, and again, another big nothing burger, because these idiots haven't learned from the Project Gravitas leaks, mm-hmm. right? The Veritas leaks, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. They haven't learned from those leaks. Okay, they haven't learned from those expose of CNN, where now Yogi Bear cartoons from the 70s have higher ratings than CNN does at this point. They don't learn from the fact that the New York Times is pretty much bankrupt. It's being held up alive because of Carlos Slim. Okay, these guys don't learn. What are they doing? Oh, we're gonna go because Trump Jr. met with a Russian lawyer. And where did that lawyer come from? Well, that lawyer got here because Linchpin Loretta Lynch, rubber stamped under quote unquote extraordinary circumstances for this Russian lawyer to come to the United States. And this lawyer had no connections to the Kremlin, none whatsoever. It's complete BS. And this woman goes immediately working for who? Fusion 5. And who's connected to Fusion 5? Well, it's none other than Johnny Sing Like a Bird McCain. Johnny McInsane, who is right now dying of brain tumor, and I hope your brains get eaten alive and ooze out of his ears. Okay? John McCain. And John McCain is going through this thing. He's connected with Fusion 5 and some former editor of the Walmart Journal. I'm sorry, the Wall Street Journal. I like to call it the Walmart Journal. Might as well be some neocon. It's another dish rag of ill repute. Okay, and this guy connected, and this woman is connected with all this. It was a total setup, and that's the onus. Another fake. And again, Fusion 5 is the one who came out with that whole pissing document on Trump. Trump was in a Russian hotel and had women urinating all over the bed. Trump is a germaphobe. He would never do such a thing. Okay. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. Zero allegations, and that turned out to be a fraud, an absolute fraudulent fake news claim. And then based on the person who helped put that whole fake news together, here they go again to the races. This is why I said they've gone full libtard. You never go full libtard.
Getting back to Jared Kushner, I am going to
predict Jason Bateman.
Yeah, he's not safe. Let me tell you, I don't know I don't think I know of a single father who's ever been on the side of their son-in-law.
No, never.
Good point.
Hell no. Hell no.
But Trump will do it in Trump's usual way, which is to give him enough rope to hang himself.
And that's exactly what's going to happen with Kushner. And Kushner's on the way out. Gary Cohn is next. I promise you that. Cohn is going to be on the way out too. It's funny. I mean, Kushner he's I don't even want to begin with him. Y'all, you want to know what my thoughts on Kushner is? Go back. I've done me and CJ's done an expose on Kushner before. Go find the video. You can watch it yourself. Anyway, moving on.
B, let's open it up a little bit.
Q&A time.
Q&A to close it out, and I tell you what, I was very excited last night, V, on the show that you did with Coast to Coast, because I wasn't quite sure what to expect when we did the simulcast with that show. And I launched the stream and came in. There was people joining left and right, and some of our fans are just diehard fans that stuck it out with us in the wee hours between 1 and 3 in the morning, and it was a lot of fun. So
crazy.
Really appreciate you guys tuning in. So V, you should be able to see the live chat on your screen. So if you want to pick some of those to go through,
CJ, pick it randomly. I don't want to do something and then I get knocked off. Believe me, my setup here is temperamental for some strange reason. So pick any one.
All right. So
any question.
All right. So let's go ahead and fire it up. So go ahead and put your questions right now.
I am right now wearing my Swami hat.
Is that like the Johnny Carson hat? Let's see who's really old.
Yeah, I'm wearing my Swami hat right now.
Someone just commented back. I'm on TV. Yeah, yes, we have it brought up so you can see yourself. So it's kind of a different scenario. So nobody wants to ask a question right now.
Why? No questions?
Maybe my screen's not refreshing or something. Maybe it's my screen. Wear pants. Okay, yes, we will definitely.
No pants. That's part of the requirements of working at Rogue Money. No pants.
Right.
So here's a question from Nick O'Brien. So, any ICOs, V, that are on your radar?
Apart from the Gorilla coin, that's going to be all about bananas. Currently, no, I don't have any. Your best bet, honestly speaking, guys, I'm telling you, you want to know some really hot tips on ICOs. Spend the $99 and get Cliff High's report. I kid you not. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who have made thousands of dollars. I mean, ridiculously, 10, 20, 50 times their investment that they put in because of those ICOs from Cliff High's WebBot. So you want to know the latest and greatest ICOs, go there. I do that. I take Cliff's tip. I just didn't have the time to act on most of those tips. But if you want the ICOs, check out Cliff's report.
Right. And V, Tom Manley wants to know, is Trump serious about lowering the debt?
What do you mean lowering the debt? Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Or does it even matter? Does our national debt even matter anymore?
Well, right now it doesn't. I mean, in the phony baloney economy, what's $20 trillion in debt when it's at 0% interest? I mean, it's all phony baloney to begin with. But in the physical economy that's going to be emerging, debt's going to matter.
All right, excellent. And then which stocks, we can't give direct financial advice, but in terms of the stock market, I know we've talked a lot about it. It's still going to go up and up. In the event that there is some type of a reset, any type of stock industry or so forth that you see would be maybe go up after any type of a reset or any type of potential market crash fee.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, I mean, what I like is this. Again, seek your own investment advice. This is not investment advice. This is my own personal opinion. This is what I like. I personally like, look, I think Google's not going anywhere. Okay. It's not going anywhere. Number one, Apple, not going anywhere. All right. Netflix, not going anywhere. Okay. Why do I know that? Well, there are more people watching Netflix right now than the entire cable industry combined. Okay, there are more Netflix subscribers than cable television subscribers from all the cable companies combined. That's huge. They're not going anywhere. Amazon, I don't think Amazon's going anywhere. I really don't think they're going anywhere. I think they're a lot of these companies that I just mentioned. I think when this whole entire reset occurs, They're going to lose a great deal of value. They're going to have to scuttle, parts of their empire. But at the end of the day, they're still going to be there. GE, not going anywhere. ExxonMobil, not going anywhere. Tesla, going to the toilet. Okay. Short term, I like Tesla. I really do. Again, it's my opinion. I hate the car. I love the stock. I'm not going to hold on to Tesla and be like, this is going to last forever. Hell no. No way. Boeing, not going anywhere. Lockheed Martin, going somewhere. I would be very wary of Lockheed Martin. Okay. Boeing, not going anywhere. Raytheon, not going anywhere. Who else? Geez. I mean, there's pharmaceutical companies. There's some biotech stuff out there. I mean, pharmaceutical. I mean, who's in pharmaceuticals now? It's just,
Lilly.
Yeah, Eli Pfizer. I mean, you have your sure bets like that. That's it. I mean, tech stocks, Microsoft. Dude, I'm telling you right now, I am bullish on Microsoft. Okay? I am bullish on Microsoft, and I'll tell you what. When you look at decentralized internet, when you look at, believe it or not, the blockchain and what they're planning on doing, of all the companies, and I kid you not, that are set up to do all this, I'm telling you, keep your eye on Microsoft. I'm telling you, I like Microsoft. I think going forward, they're going to be great. Sony, I'm not so sure of. Sony. They do their own weird thing. Who else? General Motors is going to be around. They'll be around. Chrysler, somehow, somebody always bails them out. So you can expect that to happen. I mean, Fiat is going to, we'll see what happens with Fiat, Chrysler. Ford is going to be around. Ford will be around. Volkswagen, they'll be around. Toyota, they'll be around. These companies will be there. They won't be at they won't have the size and the expanse that they currently enjoy, but they'll be there. That's it. That's what I can think of off the top of my head, man. Samsung will be there. Yeah.
Okay, next question.
Man, I can go on and on with this.
I know, right. Bankster, did you have anything you want to add to that?
I was going to say, so pretty much any company associated with big data, the deep state, or the military-industrial complex.
Bingo! The Illuminati Index.
Yeah. There you go.
That's it. That's the Illuminati Index.
There you go.
And not Bix, I'm sorry. Dex, a week ago, alluded to this next question. And, we'll go ahead and address it today. And that's in regards to Peter Schiff's take on Bitcoin, B.
Pete's wrong about Bitcoin. I respect Pete. I like Pete a lot. He's just dead wrong on Bitcoin. He doesn't understand the technology. He's one of these guys like, you got to have a gold back something. Okay, let's take the gold. See, the gold bugs like to focus on the classical gold standard of from 1870 to 1912. And granted, that was an amazing time in economic history, probably one of the greatest ever, if not the greatest. But when you look at, before that, even in the Roman times, and this is what I like to make the point, it's not what backs your currency that counts. Okay, there was a time where gold backed the Roman currency, and they did horribly economically, and it was a very tyrannical time. But there was also a time in Roman history where their currency was backed by tin, but that tin was controlled, and it was in the hands of the people, and they flourished. Okay. It's not what backs your currency. It's who is in control of your currency, okay? And when you look at Bitcoin, people just get caught up on the currency aspect of it, and I think we were looking at the horse in front of the cart in front of the horse. What Bitcoin really is, it is a technology. That's what I'm in love with. I'm not in love with Bitcoin so much as I am in love with the blockchain. And for those to really understand it, you have to look at the blockchain. Okay, and a lot of these guys who are, from the commodity world, from the physical aspect, metal world, they don't make that, for some reason, there's a mental block in them. They just can't simply grasp the other side of this whole entire thing, okay? Where there are people right now in some of the most arduous of circumstances globally, people in Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Greece, things of that sort, where they can't trust the currencies. And what they're utilizing is cryptocurrency in order to procure and get things that they need. Bitcoin's not going away. The blockchain technology is here. It is revolutionary. Either you're going to be a part of it or you're not. And I think this whole entire play with bit gold. I mean, it has nothing. You hear the word bit gold, and it sounds like some sort of a cryptocurrency or anything, and it's not. And it's a play on words. If Bitcoin is not so important, why you call your product bit gold? So with all due respect, I completely disagree with Mr. Schiff. I think he has. I don't think he gets the blockchain at all. Period. That's fine. Next
all
question.
right. And then also Rory is in the house from the Daily Coin, and Rory wants to know.
Rory.
Yeah. Will the cryptocurrencies and SDR meld, and how will this work out?
Will the crypto? Well, let's look at it this way. Who is the major SDR? When anyone says SDR,
yes,
the immediate thought is IMF, the International Monkey Fund, aka the International Monetary Fund. Well, the IMF is an unfunded white elephant. Okay, it hasn't been funded by the United States in probably over 3 years at this point. The only entity that's been funding, the only ones that are funding the IMF these days, it seems to be China. Hence, the giraffe-necked woman of the IMF, aka Christine Lagarde. Christine Lagarde says, "Do not be surprised if the headquarters of the IMF moves to Beijing." And last October, we've seen the yuan be part of the SDR basket of currencies. Now, people will say, "Oh, look, China wants to be a part of the IMF." China doesn't care about the IMF. China's putting their yuan in the IMF so they will have more access to swap facilities. That's all it is. Because the counter to the IMF is the AIIB. And the AIIB is much bigger, much more wealthier, that the IMF had to go to the AIIB to ask them if they could borrow some money. Okay? That tells you who the game is. Now, the reason why I bring this up is this. IMF, SDR, AIIB, who recently announced a couple of weeks ago that they want their own currency to become a crypto? China. China announced that.
Bingo.
They wanted the yuan to be a cryptocurrency, a digital, full-on digital currency. Okay? They wanted it to be a digital currency. And who else has been saying, hey, they want their currency backed by gold or something like that? At a partial reserve. China. It's happening. It's happening.
Bingo.
So it's the IMF is going to be absorbed by the AIIB at some point. And you could expect a fully digital gold-backed yuan. That's going to be in the works, and that's coming.
All right, we'll do a couple more quick questions. This one's for you, Bankster. What are your thoughts on Robert David Steele?
I am becoming increasingly suspicious of him. I've had some conversations with W about this, and he seems to be someone who's been placed in the public's mind deliberately for a purpose. Yeah. And that, not to say that what he's saying is wrong. I mean, there's a lot of good information from him, but as usual, we get this mixture of, a distraction plus truth. And yeah, W has a lot of information about his background that you'd watch him, keep one eye open.
Yeah, definitely.
V, a lot of people want to know when you and I are coming out of the closet.
We are not gay. CJ and I are not an item.
Okay.
I like to hide because I like to hide because I literally am the most handsome man in alt media, hands down, and that's why I don't come out. And the other reason is I don't want to terrify people at the same time, so it's just double entendre, So no, I'm kidding. No, I like being anonymous, man. I like having my life. I like being anonymous, and I'm not looking to be a superstar, man. I'm looking to make Rogue Money a superstar. Looking at having all the contributors, guys like yourself and Bankster and Ken and James and Wolf, letting these guys be the superstars. Yeah, I'm just a lone monkey who's screaming in the jungle. That's all I am. I'm just an ape swinging through the vines, drinking dark roast and eating bananas. That's all I am.
Okay, last question, because there's a couple regarding Justin Trudeau and his donations to the Clinton Foundation. What's your take on that?
Justin Trudeau, who is his career accolades is that he was a part-time ski instructor and a drama coach. That's his life achievement. He was a part-time ski instructor and a drama coach who became a prime minister of a Western country. How this happens, it really brings to question the existence of intelligence amongst certain individuals in the Canadian populace. Trudeau, I'm sure he's made contributions to the Clinton Foundation because Trudeau is just an idiot. I don't think there's anything criminal about Trudeau. He's just a useful idiot. He has an inflated ego. He likes to take selfies with people everywhere. I mean, come on, man. It's just ridiculous. So,
Right.
You know, Trudeau's a moron. And now he's going around saying aloha snack bar to everybody and telling all the muzzies to come in and come on in. What were you doing? Oh, you were on the battlefield in Aleppo. You want to come and acclimate to our Canadian culture? Sure, come on in. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I think Trudeau from childhood was raised. There's a lot of speculation whether, and Bankster, maybe you can speak to this regarding his potential involvement with the MK Ultra program with his dad, taking him to some of the secret bases, I believe in Antarctica. I'm not sure if you ever watched the really weird speech that he gave in regards to his dad.
Tom Manley said it best in the chat room. Trudeau is the Queen's bitch. You're absolutely right. Trudeau, there's videos of him, whenever a Canadian prime minister has to pledge fealty, or he's sworn in, he has to pledge fealty to the Queen. So he's absolutely right.
Yeah, I was going to say there is a long history, dark history between Canada and the Vatican, as much as between the Vatican and the British monarchy itself.
Yep.
And Trudeau, we seem to have this new rising generation of people who are coming out of that environment. And Macron is another person. Leo Zagami has made the point that Macron is himself a victim of pedophilia when he was younger. And so there's another reason you need to get that guy on.
Wow, we need to get Zagami, man. That's the guy. That'll be good. Awesome, and that brings us to the end of the show. This was wonderful. We all had a chance to contribute. I had a chance to rant and rave.
Yes.
Now we must call it a week. And folks, we'll be back next week. Starting Monday, Siege and I will be doing the morning shows, and then all the other shows we got scheduled up. And then August 1st, I will be on a little bit of a respite. I think Siege and I think CJ and I will figure out what needs to be covered to make sure that the show must go on. We'll figure it out. Anyway, it's the end of the week. Thank you all for listening in. Bankster, give out your shout outs.
My website is slaythebankster.com, and from there you can jump to my articles on Rogue Money. And I wanted to mention I'm thinking of putting together some information about the poem that James Forrestal, Secretary of State, was transcribing when he was killed. And I believe there is a connection between that ancient poem and what's going on in Antarctica. And if any of you history buffs or people who are experts on Sophocles have any thoughts about that,
what is that poem, by the way?
It's called Ajax, like the detergent, Ajax. Ajax, and it seems to be a poem written by a sailor or a mariner, but I think it has something to do with Antarctica. I mean, I think that's the reason why Forrestal was transcribing it.
And how he was killed?
Yeah. We don't know. But Richard Dolan wrote a book, and what he said was that poem was found on a piece of paper in Forrestal's hospital apartment, and he literally stopped in the middle of a word while transcribing that. And the official story was that he tied a rope around his neck made out of a hospital sheet or something, and tied a rope around his neck, and then jumped out a window at on the 16th floor, as if you would need to make a noose around your neck, as if the fall from the 16th floor wouldn't be enough to kill you.
Yeah, exactly. That makes no sense.
It's a ridiculous story.
Wow. Unreal. All right, folks. CJ, give out your shout outs, man, and we'll wrap this baby up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I worked today on getting the Hanging with Harley edited and uploaded. It's kind of choppy, so bear with me. We'll definitely land a great show for next week, but it's tolerable. So we'll get that posted probably tomorrow and get that taken care of. But for now, you have the today's show this morning, and then also last night's show that V did with AM. Is it AM? No, Coast to Coast. Coast to Coast, Coast to Coast. So give that a listen. It was like, I was getting slap happy there for a while. But anyway, it was a great show, and V did a great job on there. So that's all I got, V.
Awesome. With that being said, we're at the end of the broadcast, and we're over and out. Take it away, CJ.